Imagine it's a quiet evening in your home. You have a headache. You walk to your medicine cabinet, a place you trust, and reach for a bottle of Tylenol. It's a simple, familiar act. But what if that familiar act, that one pill, was not a source of comfort, but a source of pure, unfathomable terror? In 1982, a terrifying series of events turned a trusted household name into a source of panic and fear. But instead of running from the crisis, the company behind the product did something almost unthinkable. This isn't just the story of a crime, it's a powerful lesson in corporate courage, honesty, and how one company turned a massive mistake into an act of heroism that would change the world forever. Welcome. Today, we're diving into one of the most remarkable corporate comeback stories in history, the Tylenol crisis. This story takes us back to a time when brands and consumers had a different kind of trust. There was no internet, no social media. The bond between a customer and a brand was built over years of consistent reliability and good faith. Tylenol, produced by the healthcare giant Johnson & Johnson, was a staple in millions of American homes. It was the most popular over-the-counter pain reliever in the US, outselling its nearest competitors combined. People trusted the name because of its reputation for safety and effectiveness. It was a brand that seemed untouchable. For Johnson & Johnson, Tylenol wasn't just a product, it was a cornerstone of their business built on a set of core values. The company had a famous and much revered document called Our Credo, written in the 1940s. It wasn't just a marketing slogan, it was a promise. It stated that the company's first responsibility was to its customers, then came employees, then the community, and only after all of those did it mention shareholders and profit. This philosophy, this core belief, would be put to the ultimate test in the fall of 1982. In late September of 1982, a series of seemingly unrelated deaths began to occur in the Chicago area. The first victim was a 12-year-old girl named Mary Kellerman, who fell ill and died after taking a Tylenol capsule to treat a cold. Her death was quickly followed by 2 others, then 4 more, all within a few days. The victims came from different families and different parts of the Chicago area, but they all had one chilling detail in common. They had all recently taken extra-strength Tylenol capsules. Doctors and investigators were baffled. How could a simple, over-the-counter medication be causing these deaths? It seemed impossible, but as they looked closer, a terrifying truth began to emerge. Forensic analysis of the pills revealed a shocking discovery. The Tylenol capsules had been tampered with. They had been laced with a massive dose of potassium cyanide, a deadly poison. The criminal had carefully emptied the Tylenol powder from the capsules and replaced it with the poison, then put the capsules back in the bottles. The news hit the public like a thunderclap. The idea that a product in your own medicine cabinet, something you trusted implicitly, could be filled with poison was a horrifying thought. Panic spread across the country, especially in Chicago. People began to fear their medicine, their groceries, and even their own homes. The fear wasn't just about Tylenol, it was about the safety of every single product on a store shelf. It was a fear that a hidden enemy could be anywhere. This was a massive mistake, but it wasn't one that Johnson & Johnson had made. The crime was an act of malice by an unknown person. The mistake in the eyes of the public, however, was in the product itself. Tylenol was not a crime scene. It was a trusted product that had been compromised. The company faced a crisis they didn't create, but one they had to solve. The question was, how? The company's stock price plummeted. News reporters and the public were demanding answers. The standard corporate playbook at the time would have been to limit the damage, maybe issue a small recall only in the affected areas, and to downplay the severity of the situation. Companies were taught to protect their brand and their profits above all else. But Johnson & Johnson's CEO, James Burke, and his team made a different, much more courageous choice. A choice that went against all conventional business wisdom. Facing immense pressure, Johnson & Johnson's leadership made a decision that was almost unthinkable for a company of its size. On October 5, 1982, they announced a full nationwide recall of every single Tylenol product. They didn't just recall the bottles from the Chicago area, they recalled every bottle of Tylenol, capsules, tablets, and liquid. from every store shelf in the entire country. This was a move that cost the company over $100 million in lost product and revenue, a staggering amount at the time. But they didn't stop there. They went into full-blown crisis mode, but not to save their profits. They went into crisis mode to save lives. They issued urgent public warnings, instructing consumers not to use any Tylenol product. They went on national television to tell people to throw their Tylenol away. They opened a massive, coordinated effort with the FBI and the FDA to find the culprit and to ensure the public was safe. They put public safety above all else, even their own bottom line. The rest of corporate America watched in disbelief. Many thought the company was making a mistake, that they were overreacting and that they would never be able to recover. But Johnson & Johnson's leaders knew what they were doing. They were following their core corporate credo that put customer well-being first. They understood that their brand was built on a foundation of trust. That trust was their most valuable asset, and they were willing to do anything to protect it. Their actions were a clear, unmistakable message. We value your life more than our product. They were taking responsibility for a crime they didn't commit because their name was on the bottle. In the midst of panic, their courage was a beacon of hope. After the recall, Tylenol's market share plummeted from over 35% to nearly 7%. The brand was on the brink of collapse, but Johnson & Johnson didn't quit. They launched an incredible comeback effort. They developed a new, innovative product, the triple-sealed, tamper-proof bottle. It had a sealed box, a plastic seal on the cap, and a foil seal over the bottle's mouth. This was a revolutionary invention at the time. They were the first company to put this level of protection on an over-the-counter product. They also offered major discounts and coupons to encourage people to try the new, safer product. Their public relations campaign was direct and honest. They did not try to hide from the crisis. They owned it. They told the public what they were doing to ensure safety, and they showed them the new tamper-proof bottles, building a new sense of security and trust. They used their honesty as their greatest marketing tool. The final victory, 13 pounds, and it worked. The public, seeing the company's honesty and dedication to their safety, began to trust them again. Within a year, Tylenol's market share had recovered. It climbed back to 30%, and within just a few years, it was back to its former dominance. The brand was more popular and more respected than ever before. The mistake, the crisis of a poisoned product, had been transformed. The panic had been a test, and Johnson & Johnson had passed with flying colors. What could have been their biggest failure instead became their greatest triumph. The company emerged from the crisis not just with a product, but with a reputation for integrity that was now unmatched. The Tylenol crisis of 1982 remains one of the most important case studies in business history. It teaches us several crucial lessons. 1. Prioritize people over profit. Johnson & Johnson's decision to put public safety before their bottom line was a radical departure from corporate thinking at the time. It proved that in the long run, doing the right thing is the best business strategy. 2. Act swiftly and decisively. Their immediate and full recall showed courage and clear leadership. It was a decisive action that prevented further deaths and began the process of rebuilding trust immediately. 3. Honesty and transparency. Build trust. They didn't hide the problem. They went on television and told the public exactly what was happening. This honesty in a time of crisis built a powerful and lasting bond of trust with their consumers. 4. Innovation is a response to failure. The crisis pushed the company to create a new, safer product. The tamper-proof seal, born out of a tragedy, became the industry standard for every single product from medicine to food. The Tylenol crisis was a nightmare that could have destroyed a company. Instead, Johnson & Johnson's courageous response turned a massive mistake into an act of heroism that set a new standard for corporate responsibility. It stands as a powerful reminder that in the face of a crisis, doing the right thing is not just a moral choice, it is the ultimate strategy for success. What do you think? Was Johnson & Johnson's action a brilliant move or a simple act of human decency? Can other companies learn from their example today? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And if you want to explore more stories about the mistakes that shaped our world and changed the biggest companies, Make sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Thank you for watching.